Last month, I went to Larp for the very first time. For those of you who don't know what Larp is, it's basically a step up from D&D. You go to a physical place and you're role-playing for the entire weekend. Some are different than others, but that's basically the gist. You get into costume, you talk to people, your actual character. There is a fly in here. And you also get to hit each other with foam swords, which I did some of. Yes, LARP has a negative connotation in the media. When you think of LARPing, you think it's really cringe, and honestly, it is a little cringe, but it is very fun. It's a fun community. You're all being cringe together. At this specific LARP, there was like 500 players. It was very large, and everyone dresses up, and that's what I like to do. It's dress up. So my friend and I, we are dragon-blooded, so we needed horns, and I've never made horns before, so this was a very fun kind of challenge. I also have a very high fashion. That is not her voice at all. Hold on, what's our keyword? Oh, she's like this. She's a very high fashion, and she also looks down on all the poor people. She's very fun to play. She is completely broken the game because she's a new player. But I roleplay like I have a lot of money. So in order to make this LARP a success for me, I needed horns. I needed to look the part. That's what we're doing today. Hi, hello. My name is Rose. On this channel, we do, honestly, whatever. Like, it keeps going in and out. Sometimes I do illustrations, sometimes I do sculpting. I dabble a lot in mostly horror-related stuff. I don't know if you can see from this look, but I love horror stuff. And taking you through the process of how I made these dope-ass horns. They look like this. If you want to see the chaos of what happened, hit that subscribe button. And also, I'm going to be doing new things eventually too. I just made a tail too. It's fun. It's fun to swing around. I had people saying like, wow, that's cool. That's a cool tail. And I was like, thanks. I grew it myself because, you know, that's my tail, baby. But alas, let's get back to the horns. I'm kind of going on a tangent because the task was pretty daunting. I wanted ram-looking heads, like horns, although dragony horns are more supposed to be pulled back in fun shapes. I don't know why, but I kind of like the idea of having curled very close to the head so that I wasn't bumping into anything. Like if I am potentially fighting with swords, if someone hits my horn and it falls off, I didn't want that to happen. So I turned to Blender to help me out with this first part. Because I wanted ram horns, yes, but I didn't know how they would sit on my head, and I didn't really want to make it out of, like, styrofoam and then not like the shape and then have to redo it. I found this head online, and I started blocking in the shapes. No, I'm no means of a Blender professional, but I think I did a pretty good job with moving the little vortexes around and getting something that looks okay. All you had to do is extrude, and extrude, and extrude, and then move those until you get a shape you like. Once I got the shape, I used this cool add-on. It's called Seams to Sewing Pattern. Some people use it for plushies and like simulation of cloth. Specifically, what I wanted to use it for was just to print out the horn, see if it fit my head, and if it didn't, it's really easy to remake it, to resize it. So that's mainly why I did this. There's tons to this add-on, but I'm going to use it to print out this horn onto paper and reassemble it. Let me explain. All these red lines that I'm doing, these are going to be the seams. And once I convert it, yes, it looks crazy, but stay with me. We're going to export it to SVG, drag it into Illustrator, and we got a little pattern on the paper that we're going to print out, and with these little ticks that you see, we're going to put those together, reassemble it with the tape and the paper. Oh, look at me, I'm going to cut. Oh, we're going to do so much cutting today. Oh boy. Let's grab those scissors and get to work. The pattern has little tick marks, so you know where to line up the papers, and after a bunch of tape, voila, we got a cute horn that does kind of fit. This is the second one I've made, so it actually fits much better. The first one was way too small. I also went to LARP with my friend. She was playing the half-sister in my game, so we kind of wanted to do a style choice of I have one horn and she has the other horn. But honestly, we wanted different horns. I wanted a ram one and she wanted a more classic dragon horn. We kind of just took liberties. We're like, hey, we're half sisters, but we got different horns. And you know what? That's okay. So I made another file with a more classic horn, and I did the same process. I printed it out, I reassembled it. Once I put it all together and it fit my head, I put all those pieces onto 4mm foam. I believe it's 4. I don't remember, but it was not 2. That's for sure. It's not 2mm. It was the next size up. I put it on there. I cut them all out. First, I tried to do it with razors, but I realized it would be just easier and it's thin enough to do it with scissors, so I just switched to that. Honestly, I couldn't get as precise with the scissors, but I thought like as soon as it's glued together, it would probably be fine. But all the pieces are done. So now we have to go back and we have to bevel them. The reason for this is if you put them just straight edge to edge, it's going to just be straight. Like it's not going to round as well. If you bevel it, it's going to have a nice edge, a nicer corner, if you will. I like to use rubber cement. Is it rubber cement? Contact cement. Contact cement. I like to use contact cement. I basically put the glue on one of the sides and then the other side, let it sit for like 10 minutes to like an hour, and then they get tacky. You put them together and it's like a permanent, it's never going to come apart kind of thing. They're meant for shoes. Contact cement, which is pretty smelly, and honestly, it's a very messy process, so it was very hard for me to record it. So I kind of did that off screen, but here are the pieces. They're glued. They were sitting for like an hour. They got tacky. We're going to put them together, and once the two pieces hit, you need to make sure that it's exactly where you want it to be, because those are not going to come apart. That's why I like contact cement for foam. It's very permanent, and I feel very safe with the items that I make. I'm like, okay, this is not going to break when I use it. The next parts, I didn't get as much video of it because most of it was done outside. And also, I was getting up to the deadline. Like, I waited a little bit too long to make the horns, so I was at a point just frantically trying to get it done. I think it was the day before, and I needed to paint and also, like, seal it still. So I was like, it is what it is. We're going. I did both horns a little bit different because the second one was just much better. For my ram horn, I left the foam intact, and I surrounded it in Worbla. You can see here in a thin layer of Worbla, and then I put Worbla on top of that Worbla, which meant I had 2 layers of Worbla, and they were very heavy. My horns are a little bit, it's not too heavy. It's not too heavy. It still stays on my head, but if I look to the ground or to the ceiling, there's a small chance that it's going to fall off my head. And it's also because I have I don't have much hair to like pin it to and I have a small head. Boy, headbands don't like to stay on my head. For her horn, because her horn was a different shape, I just did it a bit differently. I first dremeled it to the shape I wanted, and then I covered it in Worbla. So they were both hollow, but one had less layer of Worbla, and it also had less foam as well, which I thought it wasn't going to be stable enough, but Worbla is crazy. If you don't know what Worbla is actually the best material I have ever worked with, and I don't think I'm ever going to go back ever. It's kind of expensive, but I had some lying around from like 10 years ago, which still worked. You basically heat it up, and it becomes like malleable. You can surround it in objects. A very common technique is the sandwich technique, where you put 2 pieces of Worbla together with a foam inside of it. So you cut the foam to the object you want. Some people do it for like corsets and stuff like that, or armor pieces. They'll have like a 2mm of foam, and then they'll sandwich it together. So when it cools down, it becomes hard like a plastic, and it's super lightweight. The only way that it's ever going to deform is if it heats up to like much higher temperatures again, and then it becomes movable again. Comparing the two, the Dremel version worked way better because I was going to surround it in Worbla. If it was just going to stay as a foam and I was going to color it, there was no way it would be strong enough. It was so flimsy, but it was much lighter with the Worbla, and it was great because these are going on headbands, so they need to be as light as possible. And we were wearing it for like 12 hours, and that's heavy on your head after a while. After a couple of hours, it kind of like starts snagging at your hair. At this point, I took a little break in the horns to make some upper masks. In this LARP, every character belongs to a certain culture. It's kind of like the nation you were born in. It's very Venice inspired. We are often called the Island of Masks, which was pretty cool. So I wanted to make an opera mask because my friend and I are half sisters. I wanted to have one half of the mask and her have the other. And then we're going to have each other's horns on the mask. I then sandwiched a small, like what I said before, I sandwiched small 2 millimeters of foam together with some Worbla on both sides and carefully pressed it to my face when it was more warm than hot to the touch, so it could be like super molded to my face. If I ever wanted to wear it, it's just gonna like fit. You do have to be careful if you do this, that it has to be warm and not hot. It starts to get really sticky, and if you put your finger on it and it's extremely sticky, it could burn you. So you gotta be careful. I didn't record the first one because I honestly didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how Worbla was going to work in a more sculpted environment. I used it as like basically on the horns, but I didn't do any details really. And some of the design was not looking good, to be completely honest. I would love to redo it now, but I was, of course, running out of time. So the best part of Worbla is it can be reheated as many times as you want. So I just took the scraps of when I made the horn and also the base mask and kind of just rolled it up, and that's what I used to make the details. Hey, if you make a mistake like I do, don't even worry about it. You could just heat that baby up, roll it in your hands a couple times, and you can reuse it. It's great. Now that both of the horns and mask are done, it's time to paint. I had black and gold theme for my horns and white and pink theme for my sister's mask. I mainly painted the horns by doing a full gradient and feathering in top highlight with a dry brush technique. This technique basically means that I dip it into the paint and I try to get pretty much almost all that paint off the brush by like putting it on a paper towel. And then I brush that thin layer on top, so it just gets like a little glow on top of each other for like highlights. By this point, I was definitely losing time, so I didn't set up the camera correctly or pretty much at all, especially when I was spraying a protective layer after the paint. But all in all, this is what it ended up looking. I'm taking this video after using the mask a little bit, so there are some chips. I think I needed to wait and varnish it maybe a little bit better. I have to make it a little bit more durable. I think I used just like a varnish that I found at Home Depot. It just didn't work very good. I don't know if it's because I had a lot of paint layers, because I was layering a lot of paint. I'm not quite sure, so take this with a grain of salt. I slapped a quick strap using faux leather to my mask, and bam, she's a certified dragon. Now, onto the tail. Just kidding, that's not in this video. I'm gonna do the tail in the next one, I think. I didn't do a lot of videos during that, but I have to make another one for my sister. So I'm gonna record that one, and then we're gonna talk about it. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. I've never made horns or a mask, so this was very fun for me to do a little something new. It was my first time using Worbla as well. And honestly, it was a very fun experience. I would 100% use it, and I will be using it again. I was mainly a foam gamer. I only used foam from pretty much anything. But Worbla feels like it would last, the objects that I make would last a lot longer, which is kind of like, it's good. That's good. I like that. I feel like if I drop it, which I drop a lot of things, it won't break instantly on me. I kind of want to make myself armor. If you liked the video, drop a like. I'm here for you every month, most likely. I try my best to make a video for you guys. Thank you to my lovely Patreon supporters, which are right here or on the screen somewhere. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!